Welcome, Innerspace Surfer. Today's episode fits into both of our ongoing series, Soul-Centric Biz Spotlight and Demystify the Mystical. Eavesdrop in on my chat with my Instagram turned real-life friend, Jaime Love. Jaime is a self-proclaimed, truth-telling, eternally curious introvert with a passion for all things natural, organic, neuro-psych, and healing-based. Her personal journey towards becoming a light and shadow alchemista began over 20 years ago when she birthed her 3 children and her first business, Jaime Love Photography. Through light writing with amazing photography clients, consciously journeying through motherhood, world travels, major physical injuries, grief, loss, and subsequently navigating the waters of CPTSD, Jaime was shown a path of liberation through the art of vibrational medicine, somatic-based yoga therapy, mindfulness meditation, and pranayama. Through the gold mining of her own shadows and deeply exploring human consciousness, Jaime received a deep calling from the universe to share the transformational tools she's learned along the way with others. Her work here on this planet during this time in history is to assist the human collective in elevating our energetic vibration and aligning our personalities to match the original blueprint of our mind, body, and soul. Jaime serves as a light shadow worker in this way and guides along your own unique journey. Grab a cup of hot tea or your favorite beverage, and let's tune in for my conversation with Jaime Love. Hey there!
Hello.
Happy Saturday!
Happy Saturday. It is a really beautiful Saturday here, actually.
It is, and you're in upstate New York, correct?
That is correct. Upstate New York.
Yeah. What's the temperature like today?
It looks to be about 20 degrees outside.
So way colder than here because we're going to hit like 55 today here in Prescott.
Wow. Yeah.
The sun, as you can see, is coming in, and it does sometimes get a little warm right here, so I may have to shift, but for now I'm soaking it up.
Yeah. I know. It's been really, we had a snowstorm not too long ago, and so I'm finally glad to have some sunshine.
Yes, we had a little mini dump, and then I saw like a couple days later you guys got double whammied, right?
We got like 2.5 feet. It was I'm still sore from shoveling.
I was just gonna say, how long did it take you to shovel your way out of there?
Thankfully I had some help from my children, but yeah, it took a while.
Good. Well, at least you got it taken care of. Your muscles are healing.
Yes, I'm in recoup mode at the moment.
Yeah, my boyfriend Steve was the same way, like, because he hasn't, been shoveling in a long time. And so the next day he was like, oh my God, my back hurts so bad. We were putting CBD rolling stick all over us. Okay. Well, let's hop into a little chit chat. So Jaime and I met on Instagram, and I was trying to think, because I thought it was shorter. Like, I thought we had met during the time of COVID, which sounds like a book, right?
Right.
Yeah, probably somewhere it is. And then I kept looking back. I don't know why I was on there looking back at some older posts at some point, and I saw your name on there, and I was like, oh, we've been connected for quite a while. So then we decided a couple weeks ago to make it legit and hop on a Zoom and like meet for real. Yes. and get to know each other like more dynamically than just behind the screens. I mean, I guess technically we're still behind the screens, but
we're more little cubes and boxes right now.
Yeah, exactly. So walk us through your story, because we're going to chat today. So for the listeners, we'll just do a little prep. We're going to hear about Jaime and who she is. And in her first incarnation of my awareness was focusing on personal branding photography for soul-centric type business owners, which she is still doing, but has since evolved, probably like many also through the COVID situation. So let's go into the Wayback Machine. Give us a bit of who you are, where you're from, what you're about, and then we're going to have a nice little chat and learn about Bach flower essences, which is where a lot of your energy is focused currently.
Yeah, that is true. So how far back do you want me to go?
Maybe like, where did you grow up? What part of the country? That helps kind of, I think, give everybody a framework of sort of, values, beliefs, culture, that kind of stuff.
Totally. So I was raised in Connecticut, actually. I grew up in Connecticut, and it was just me and my mom growing up. And I, went to school. I was like the artist in school. I was like the superlative class artist,
Yeah.
And I went on to study photography at Ringling College of Art and Design. I went to college for photography for many years. I got out of college. I sort of kind of started a photography business. And then we're talking like, I'm dating myself here, but this is like in the 2000s here. And that's when all the digital stuff came out. So it made all of my equipment and all of my training sort of obsolete.
Right. That transition, because that transition happened then, right? Late 90s, early 2000s, stuff started going more digital. Yeah.
Exactly. So I was like right in the middle of that transition. And so I had a photography business kind of going. And then I ended up pregnant with my son. And that started me on a whole other level of, self-exploration as a mom.
So when you say that, what did it bring up? What do you mean by that?
Well, so usually when people, I'll say typically when people have babies, they're like, yay, I'm going to have a baby. It's going to be this wonderful experience. And yay, everything's wonderful and hunky. That's not how it went down for me.
It was a little more chaotic.
No, that's not how it went down for me. When I was 3 months pregnant, I developed Crohn's disease. My body freaked out. I was sick the entire pregnancy, and then my son's father abandoned us, and I was just left on my own to deal with
you were like, hey, lady with a baby.
Right. I was the lady with a baby. I was really stressed out. I was freaking out.
And you had no Crohn's symptoms before that. It just literally came on during your pregnancy, which is interesting because you and I share the Crohn's. And another person that I had worked with, his wife had Crohn's, but he said when she was pregnant, it was almost as if the hormones overrode it and gave her superpowers. And so she didn't have symptoms and didn't feel sick at all during her pregnancy and didn't have to be on her meds, which is interesting.
That's what happened in my second pregnancy.
Okay.
Interestingly enough.
Okay, continue.
No issues there. It's just like every kid is so different in what they bring through with into your body and into your everything. So yeah, when I had my first son, I was just a wreck. I was trying to figure out how to function and exist and manage this major debilitating illness. And that's kind of what initially led me to exploring flower remedies. I had gone to a doctor, and it was around the time my son was 18 months old. I finally was like, okay, I'm going to go, maybe get this looked at, I had already had it looked at. They told me what I had, but I was breastfeeding. And so I felt like I couldn't take any of the medicine or any of the stuff because I didn't want it to affect the breast milk.
And what kind of, when they diagnosed you, meaning I'm assuming traditional Western meds and docs, what did they prescribe? Do you remember what kind of meds that was they were trying to?
So they told me to take prednisone. And I said no.
Yeah.
And then I went back, 18 months later after saying no to the prednisone, and they said, it's so bad, we need to take a piece of your colon out.
Nope.
And I said, I'm 25. You're not taking my colon apart. Let me figure out what I can do about this on my own. And so then I started getting really serious about, the healing and not just being a breastfeeding mom martyr.
Yeah.
Which is what I had become at that point. I was very self-sacrificing for my son, So then, I started exploring flower remedies, and it was very fascinating to me at the time, looking at the different emotional spaces I was in and seeing how the patterns had created all kinds of discord in my system. So I started slowly unraveling that, all those puzzle pieces. And it's so multi-layered,
Yes.
So then, I did the flower essence therapy, and that was wonderful. I kind of got my life back on track. I met my daughter's father, and then, obviously went on to have her. And then thought everything was great. And then he ended up being incredibly physically abusive. So then I found myself again solo parenting, but then like with 2 kids. And then my breaking point, my literal breaking point, that really catapulted my healing journey was when I was in a car accident. So maybe if it was actually only a few weeks after the major abuse incident had gone down and he was like out of the scene, I got rear-ended by a huge truck, and it basically broke my hip in 3 places.
Oh my God.
And I ended up bedridden for a good 6 months. and it was during that time that I really had to look at what was going on in my life.
Yeah, because the universe was sending you some pretty big, literally ramming into you.
Yeah, like everything, like all root chakra, like, hi, look at all your safety and security and all your issues. Like, so it was during that time that I, ended up studying to become a Bach flower practitioner, because the way my brain works is like, how do I word this? Like I wasn't content to just sit there, like I needed to do something about it. And I needed to evolve my life in a different way. And I was exploring the flower remedies through my own practice. And so and they're so potent and helpful for me energetically through that experience. I mean, I feel like had I not had my plant allies, then I might not have gotten through it with as much grace as I did.
I love that you call it that. So, and the other thing that's interesting too is the juxtaposition, I guess, of like such physically violent, chaotic things happening, and these apparently on the surface, and I can't wait till we hear more about them, right? More gentle, allies, showing up in your life to help you walk through that part of your journey. And then the other thing that I'm curious about, and I know you and I touched about it on our solo call a couple of weeks ago. So how are you getting through this? Is that when your mom came in to help you?
Yeah. Right. My mom took a leave of absence from her work, and she came and she stayed with us for probably like 4 or 5 months until I was able to walk again and be like a functional, actually doing the work of care, like physically caring for a 2 and a 5-year-old.
But kudos to you for opening up to not, and I'm sure, there were moments, right? But not falling down the downward death spiral of doom and victimhood. You literally couldn't physically get out of bed. Your body was tore up. And you had 2 little kids and you were on your own, and you were still trying to sort out, your spiritual, emotional, all of the layers of that. And then like, how am I going to support myself and these children? And what is that going to look like? Right.
Yeah. Well, that was a piece of it, was like, oh gosh, I didn't know when the accident happened, like what my recovery was going to look like. I'd gotten a lot of different prognosis, from like, you might always have a limp, to like, you're not gonna be able to carry heavy things ever again, to like, oh, you'll be fine. It was like a very wide gamut. So, in my mind, I was looking for different ways to potentially make income and to survive and do something that I love and, work from home. I've always been a homeschooling parent. So having a business that I could do from home was always really important to me. And helping people in general, in the many different ways that I do. And I tended to always be that friend that people would call me with all of their stuff. And I would just help them unravel it.
Ditto.
In this very like practical way. And so it was a very natural transition to becoming a Bach flower practitioner, because it's sort of what I naturally did on its own, but now it had this beautiful framework and these ways of helping people. So I went through that experience. I came out of it a Bach flower practitioner with a lot more self-awareness, a lot more patience than I knew that I was capable of existing with.